thewellnesscouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives. This is Up for a Chat with Cyndi O'Meara, Carren Smith, and Kim Morrison.
Well, shut the front door. Here we are, up for a chat about the hottest topics that are important to you, inspiring you to awaken the change within. I'm Carren Smith, and wait till you hear who we've got on the show today.
And I'm Kim Morrison, and I cannot wait either.
So our gorgeous little spunky little Cyndi, she's decided to take herself on a little holiday, bless her heart. And if anybody deserves that break, it's got to be her. Man, has she been burning the candle at both ends or what? That's what with Hamina. We didn't know Porky Pig was coming to the show today. That What's with Wheat has gone off like a frog in a sock, as has her nutrition training into the Chiropractic University in New Zealand. Honestly, she is just on fire right now, and it's amazing to watch her, and I so want to get her to sign my boob when she gets home.
Oh, God, I love you. I love you. At least we get to sleep with her.
Oh, well, you do. I don't. Not quite that. Hey, but I kissed her on the lips.
Oh, you did. You did.
I did. Recently we just had the Wellness Summit down in Melbourne, and it was so cute. Cyndi was going on stage, and of course she doesn't come dressed with lipstick. And she says to me, "Oh, have you got any lipstick? Have you got any lipstick?" I said, "No, I don't have any on me." I said, "Have I got some on?" And she said, "Yes, of course you have." I said, "Then give me a kiss."
It's adorable. It's adorable.
So she leaned in and we gave each other a kiss. Didn't think anything of it. She jumped up on stage, gorgeous as always. And then afterwards, when we got home, I thought, oh dear.
I think
me and Bear Grylls.
The men around you actually really enjoyed watching that, but I'm super excited because not only is she growing, but I think what's so amazing is that the people around us are growing. We're watching people's dreams come true around us, Carren, and I don't know about you, but people coming up to me at the summit saying it's thanks to you guys, the Wellness Couch, the Wellness Guys, different people, that their dreams of being in the wellness industry is rising. And from year to year, watching what people are doing is mind-blowing. And I'm super excited for us to be talking about our beautiful guest today, who's also got things that are changing through different stages in our lives. God, Carren, think about us back in Peru. Go on, give us the intro of our gorgeous guest.
Oh, well, shut the front door. So we arrive in Peru, and this chick turns up, who I haven't ever met before. And she is the epitome of hotness. I mean, she's got this long blonde hair, she's slim, she's vibrant, she's got skin like a marshmallow. She just lit up the place. And I looked at her and I went, wow, what a stunner. And then we got to know each other over the course of being in Peru. And honestly, I felt like there was this, I really felt like there was this soul connection. I felt like, like you and I, Kimmy, how we feel like we can be sisters, yes. Almost. Your sister from another mister.
Yes.
I honestly felt this way with Linda. And I'm talking about the beautiful Linda Alston. She totally took my breath away in Peru, continued to impress me the whole time with the most vibrant, positive attitude. No matter what was going on, no matter how hard things got, she was always on top of it. And I felt so blessed to be able to share such an incredible experience with Linda. So that was my first experience of her. But now Linda and I get to work really closely together, and we've got, I like to say we, because I like to think it's me too. But there's so much happening in Linda's world that we could not share her with all of our listeners, because you know what I reckon, Kimmy? I think Linda is a classic example of people who have great dreams and great inspirations and wonder if they really can pull it off. And then somebody like Linda comes along who is just like all the rest of us, and she starts pulling it off. She starts making it happen. So welcome to the show, Linda.
Thank you very much. I'm a bit gobsmacked.
We like to do that to people.
Yeah, you do.
You can give me $50 for that later.
All right, okay.
So, Linda, tell us who you are, your age, your background, your journey. Tell us how you got to being here and why we wanted you on the show today.
Okay, well, I'm actually 54 years old, nearly 55, and I've spent most of my life as a vegetarian, basically. I call myself an accidental vegetarian.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, you know, it's just at a young age I sort of stopped eating meat, and my journey has just sort of evolved, I guess, learning different things on the way. I've always cooked meat for my children. I've never pushed my views on anyone else. I've always wondered why I was so different to everyone else, and I still can't work that out.
Well, you're the same as us, love, so don't worry. You fit right in. I think, you know, the part that I love the most about your journey, Linda, is that, you know, you are so, you're not effusive about being vegetarian, but to look at you, you are an epitome of health. I mean, you glow. Your hair is stunning. Your skin is stunning. Your vitality and energy is off the charts. And when you look at yourself, you're fit, you're healthy, you're toned, and you're strong. And I think that is what is so impressive, because, you know, there's so much stigma out there these days about, you know, what you have to eat, what you must eat, what you should eat. And there's so much fear around, you know, alternative diet choices. And then you see somebody like yourself that kind of throws it all up for question. And I think, you know, certainly with the work that you're doing now, I think that it's a beautiful way of looking at a holistic nutritional solution. Is not necessarily, you're not, as you say, you're not forcing vegetarianism onto anybody. You're just looking at a holistic nutritarian philosophy.
Yeah.
Which I love. I think that's just fantastic. So are your kids vegetarian?
No, absolutely not. They're both really big meat eaters. I think when they were about 3, they went through a phase where they didn't eat meat, and I thought, oh, gosh, maybe we've got another vegetarian.
Yeah.
But then I continued to, because I don't believe in, you know, I believe as a parent we bring our children into the world, but I really don't believe we should impart I guess, restrictions on them. I believe that they should be allowed to develop their own way of eating and everything else. So I always offered them everything, and I continued, even then when they didn't want to eat meat, I still continued to offer them meat. And within a couple of weeks, they were both hoeing into the meat again, and they're both quite big meat eaters, actually, as are all my family.
So I think all my family. A really good point there, though, Linda, is for many of us, we think that we know what's best for the individual, and I think Carren would agree to this, that those of us that are mums, I mean, I've always felt that I've just been privileged enough to be chosen to be both my children's mums, and I don't believe that my beliefs and values, and even though I've never particularly, I haven't eaten meat since I was 17 because I got so ill when I was in Hong Kong, and not that I was a massive meat eater before, mainly because Mum couldn't really afford a lot of meat for us, so the meat that we did have was usually pretty cheap and gross in my opinion. But I didn't mind the odd roast or the odd bit of bacon or things like that. When I got sick at 17, I never went back to meat, and therefore when I had children, one of the biggest things everybody kept telling me was, you got to eat meat for iron, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I tried cooking it for my daughter, and when I say try, I probably wasn't the best cook with it, but I would do the things and mash it into her veggies and things like that, and she always turned her nose up at it. Now, interesting, as she's grown older, she didn't eat it. Jacob, on the other hand, just loved it, and every little bit and gnawing on bones and goodness knows what else. He absolutely loved it.
Oh,
so
dear.
I know. Right? And then a husband that likes meat, not all the time, but the poor thing. I used to make him cook his meat outside. However, when my children got to teenage, and I remember listening to Dr. Libby a number of years ago and talking about and listening to her, and then Nora Gregardis, and obviously hearing all the paleo movement, I started to really see what it can do, maybe some of those vitamins, minerals, and certain essential nutrients in meat, how important it was, particularly for teenagers. So then I told this to Taylor, and I'll never forget it, and she turned around and she said, yeah, Mum, I think I'd like to try it. And now she loves her meat. She doesn't eat a lot of it. We're not massive meat. I'm not, but they're not massive meat eaters. But I realised how important it was for me as a mum not to impart my beliefs or my sick story around meat. My only rule is that it's organic and that we get it from our local farmers markets. So that's my rule. If we're going to do meat, it has to be the best, and that these animals have been nurtured and looked after. Yeah. So what's your beliefs around that? And as Carren said, you're incredibly fit looking. You don't look like one of those vegetarian vegans that look withdrawn and absolutely emancipated and need nutrition, because for some people vegetarianism, even though it's a choice, is not necessarily the best thing. Do you believe, as a mother and a grandmother, that vegetarian, it can be not only a choice, but it can be beneficial for people as opposed to eating meat?
Yeah, I think they don't, it's not done properly. They may just keep eating their normal diet, which may actually not be that good in the first place, and just stop eating meat. And they're not actually getting the nutrition. When I was a child, I drove my mother and my grandmother absolutely mental, because they felt that I had to eat meat, and they really thought something was wrong with me, and I just couldn't face it. But what I could face was my mum would make, coming from England, Mum would make lots of stews. And so in those stews, she would pile them with vegetables. She would hide pieces of meat, which I would always find, no matter how small. But I found that I was having a lot of, when I look back, I realised I was actually getting a lot of nutrition. It dived down probably when I was about 12, because I went to boarding school. And I had no one on my back as to what I could eat or not eat. So I had a couple of friends who would hang around me every mealtime, and they'd take the meat off their plate, and I would quite often take the vegetables off theirs. And it worked quite well.
So did you go vegetarian as a choice?
No. And that's the weird thing. I think when I was about 3, my dad said I stopped eating meat. And I started going off certain types of meat, and then by the time I was 6, I really didn't want to eat it. I was at boarding school when I was 6 years old, and I got force-fed meat by nuns.
Oh my God!
And I think maybe emotionally that had something to do with me really not wanting to go there again.
But you had already naturally.
I'd already stopped.
Rejected it.
Yeah.
Right.
And even when I was coming up to being pregnant, I thought, oh gosh, maybe I should try and eat meat to get more iron, blah, blah, blah. And I found as soon as I became pregnant, I could not stomach the smell. I couldn't be anywhere near it. And I actually naturally just went for pulses, beans, lentils, black beans, red beans, any bean I could get my hands on, and I would actually cook a different meal. I'd cook a lasagna with beans. I'd cook a moussaka with beans. And my poor husband came in one day, and he just looked and he goes, "Oh, not those bloody little peas again." So I sort of, and I went through pregnancy. Everything was fine. My health was fine. When it did hit rock bottom was when, after I'd had my son, I started teaching aerobics, and I was teaching he was about 9 months old. I was still breastfeeding him, and I just started doing about 13 aerobic classes a week. And that was when I hit my first pitfall, in that I literally completely ran out of B12. And yeah, my skin suffered. My skin suffered. My health suffered. I was tired. And I went to the doctor and had some blood tests, and he sort of said, have you been supplementing with B12? And it's like, well, no. So I had to go on a series of injections. And from then I started realising it's like, okay, I am missing something in my diet. It was harder then. We didn't have the internet and stuff like that. So I did start exploring by, library books and stuff like that of different things I might need to do to help myself. And it was basically sort of keeping up with the B12, having my iron levels checked. Most of the time my iron was fine. It was always on the lower end of the level, but I might occasionally supplement with Bloom's Organic Iron, and that seemed to bring it up again. And I've never actually had a problem since. When I started looking at that and realising that, okay, as a vegetarian, I need to eat a very, very big wide variety of plants and nuts and seeds and certain grains as well. And I also need to get my bloods checked every year just to make sure everything's in working order. The other one that vegetarians can fall low in is zinc. So yes, I do supplement. I supplement with an activated B vitamin, and I also supplement with zinc. And very occasionally, but not often, I might end up just taking a tonic if I feel a bit low, but that's very rarely these days.
With what you're describing there, I would question whether they're a vegetarian or a paleo, whether they could cope with 13 aerobics classes every day.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
I know. I was younger then. I don't think I could do it now, but I did used to. I'm that type A personality, I guess, and I did used to thrash myself with exercise, and I ran half marathons and ran every lunchtime when I worked in the city and stuff. So, I feel I have sort of pushed my body, but I've actually come out of it well at the end of it.
Yeah.
So, Linda, you've obviously become aware of your body, and you're a vegetarian. That's not someone that just takes the meat patty out of a McDonald's burger kind of vegetarian girl. What would you say? I mean, we spent some beautiful time together all in Peru. Tell us a little bit more about where you're heading now with you've got growing children, you're a grandma. Tell us how you approach the world from, obviously you're very centred and very connected around your health and your well-being and movement and food. And gosh, honestly, when I look at the recipes that we all post in our private Peru group and all those gorgeous things, and I hope you brought me a piece back, Miss Carren, of that.
Oh, I have to say, no. Linda offered. She said take some home, and I said it won't make it.
You are such a tart. But you have a passion for food. How do you implement that? And where do you want to take your nutrition's such a big part of your world? Tell us what you're doing with it, and how you're imparting your knowledge with your family and now hopefully the wider community.
Okay, well, I guess I've always imparted knowledge to especially my daughter, Michelle. She, every time she sort of comes to a junction, it's like, Mum, what can I do here? She'll actually never cook for me. I don't know why. She's a really good cook, but she always says, no, your cooking's too good. Mm-hmm. And I've never actually seen myself as a good cook. I think because I don't cook meat that well. But I've found that there's certain friends, they start asking me different questions. A couple that really come to mind is my hairdresser Sue and her lovely sister Dee. And they really want to look at their health. But when they're reading what's mainstream, they're finding it very difficult to decide what they should do and what they shouldn't. And so they sort of occasionally ask me questions, and I found that it's quite interesting because you just give them little steps and they can take little steps. If I give them all the information at once, it's too overwhelming. But if you just give them little tiny steps to take, they're able to implement them. And I guess I would like to see a life where everyone actually based their meals around a vegetarian meal, but just added a little bit of meat on the side if they wanted to.
I love what you said the other day when we were talking, and you said you consider the option of having meat as a condiment rather than the vegetables as the condiment, whereas the meat is always the hero of the dish.
Yes.
And I really loved that because, I think most people struggle to get the vegetables into their diet, whether they're meat eaters or not. They struggle to get the beautiful rainbow of colours on their plate. And, I've been to your place twice now, and I really feel like I'm still waiting for you to ask me to move in. I really am waiting.
God, then you can move in.
Yes.
Hang on. If you're going, I'm coming.
You're coming too? Oh, love.
Okay, there's plenty of room.
I cannot begin to tell you the culinary delights that Linda serves up, and the plate is almost bursting with life and colour and vibrancy. And I think it's so amazing to see somebody who has such a passion for their food, has gone through such a huge big journey themselves in terms of, the way that they eat, to now be able to bring that to the community, to bring that to other people, to say, hey, why don't you play with this? Let me show you how to play the game, and then play with it and see if you enjoy it.
Yes.
And I think that that's really, that's a really beautiful philosophy that you come from, Linda, with your with the work that you're going to be doing moving forward. I think that's, it really shifts the ball game, because if you think of everything that's in the marketplace right now, if you think of I see it specifically, you probably do too. Eat paleo or you're a peanut. Like,
yes,
if you don't eat meat, you're going to die.
Yeah.
All of this dramatic pressure makes food the enemy.
Definitely.
It doesn't actually make food the friend. And talk to us about your philosophy around that, about creating a new relationship with food. You were talking about some of that yesterday, which just gave me goosebumps.
I wonder what I said.
You were talking about intentions for food.
Yes, it's there's a lot of, and I actually really thank all the people in my life who have said, "Oh, you're going to age really badly. You're never going to be really healthy because you don't eat meat," because that has just served me to look and think, well, I'll show you. And I am determined to live to a good age and to be extremely healthy and fit in mind, body and soul. And I think a lot of people, there's so much information about food out there, and a lot of it now is fear-based. And stuff doesn't need to be that complicated. And I think, you need to sort of start to get more in touch with your own body. Start to try things, see if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, fine, try something else. But I know every time I've suddenly come up with a food insensitivity or a food allergy, I've actually just sort of stopped and I thought, hang on, what's actually going on here? And it's always come to me, it's like with sometimes I struggle with eggs, and I realise it's the egg yolk, and I actually have no idea why, but I'm very careful if I don't have too many eggs. And soy is another one that I can't go near. So that's eggs and soy, which are two protein sources for vegetarians that don't work too well for me.
Yeah.
So, my protein is cut. But when I look at my food, sometimes you don't always make the right choice with food. Even me, I might sort of pick something and think, oh gosh, this is really not good for me. And then I look at it and I place an intention on it, and I have every intention that food is going to nourish me and sustain me. And that actually helps me get through when I do a bad meal, or if I have a really bad sugar craving and I go and buy a packet of chocolate biscuits and I eat the whole blooming packet. And it's a horrible, horrible feeling, and I sit there and I used to beat myself over the head. And then I sort of thought about it and I thought, if you want those chocolate biscuits, you can have them. And funny enough, now that I've given myself permission to have a whole packet of chocolate biscuits, I actually don't want them.
Yeah. Because there's no more resistance to it.
There's no more resistance to it, but I really do believe, if you're preparing a meal, and I think I've actually learned some of this from Kim as well. It's the fact that because Kim, you're so good at loving and nurturing yourself and other people, and it's very inspiring. And now I'm really looking at my food, and I'm really getting my hands into it. And I love to toss my salads with bare, clean hands, and just ask that the food really nourishes people and feeds their soul as well as nourishes their body. And I actually like that experience. And sometimes, especially if you've got fresh herbs from the garden, you take a handful and you smell your food.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that sounds a bit daft, but
no, it's stunning. Well,
it's actually a nice thing to do. Yeah.
When I cut my rosemary, I've got the massivest rosemary bush. And when I cut my rosemary bush, where I've cut it, I put my finger on the piece that's still, the plant. I put my finger where I've cut it, and I hold it and I say, "I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you're sharing yourself with me. Thank you so much for giving yourself to me." And I squeeze where I've made the cut, because I just think, because if I get cut, squeezing makes it not so bad.
Yeah. A lavender compress would be nice too, actually.
Yeah.
For my rosemary bush.
Yes, please. I can just see you out there with a lavender compress saying a beautiful little prayer.
Trust me, I would do that. But there's no better smell than your beautiful fresh cut herbs. And when you set the intention of your food and what you want your food to do to nourish you, then it changes the whole dynamic of the meal. Like when your mum used to make you a roast, you could always taste the love.
Oh, no. I used to want to leave home. Every Sunday was a roast, and it was even worse if it was a roast served with rice pudding. Then I would I'd pretend to be sick. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. It was that was my worst meal.
Oh, funny.
It's true. What you're saying, though, Carren, is that beautiful. When people make a meal with love, you can taste it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. But, Linda, what about for you when you're going out socially? It's hilarious with the three of us, because we've got Carren the vegan and Cyndi Bear Grylls, and kind of me sitting in the middle. And so the three of us... What I love about the three of us going out is that there's always an honouring of each other's needs, and there's never a judgment and things like that. How have you coped in the world of vegetarianism with people's judgments, and what would be your advice to people around how to deal with that?
Oh, gosh, it hasn't always been easy for me. A lot of people, and actually this was what was lovely about the women in Peru, and it was great to see such a varied, such a diversity in diets, and there was absolutely no judgment, absolutely none. And I have been judged. Some people come out with jokes that they think is really funny. It's like, give her ice cubes because that's vegetarian, and it's sort of like, well, it's really not very funny. And the thing that I've really drives me bonkers, around the Sunshine Coast, I take it you've got some lovely cafes and stuff like that do nice vegetarian, vegan options. And around where I live, there don't seem to be that many. So when you go out, and I love to go out, but I'm really, really restricted because all of the serve is risotto or pasta. But I find now friends are actually pretty accommodating. It's like, is there something for you to eat? And, at the end of the day, I sort of think, well, I'm actually just enjoying your company. There's only salad, there's only chips. I'll have salad and chips if that's all there is. And so I've sort of learnt to deal with it. You search around and you find the good places to go. But the other thing that I do, sometimes we're invited out. I know there's going to be no consideration of dietary choices, so I will actually eat something before I go out. And that way, I may sit down, and so if all there is on offer is a really boring garden salad, then I can eat that because I've actually already nourished myself at home. So that's a thing that you can do. But yeah, I don't actually find it that easy to go out, to be honest.
I'm exactly the same, Linda. I'm exactly the same. If Matt says, let's go down to our local surf club or let's go, wherever with our friends, usually I'll either take something in my bag with me that I know I can slip into a salad, like I'll put, some extra nuts and seeds that I can throw on top of a salad and a nice salt and a dressing. Yeah. Or I'll eat before I go.
Yes.
I said it's not a problem, but because most foods are just so laden with stuff that you wouldn't, and again, I don't think it matters whether you're vegetarian or paleo. It's food that you wouldn't eat anyway.
Yeah, we find that. Yeah, and also, I like to go out because, my partner will get, he might be able to get some liver when he goes out because that's something I really don't like to go near.
Oh, dear.
So he can choose something, duck or something that he wouldn't normally eat at home. But even he struggles because he said, where's the vegetables? Because a lot of, even in the good restaurants, they'll serve these meals and they sound like they're vegetable laden. And when they turn up, it's actually just a steak on a little sauce that maybe has vegetables in it, but nothing that, resembles a vegetable. And you might order a side and you'll get one little small bowl. And that's just not how we eat at home. And I find that when we eat out, it actually affects him as well because, he may bloat. So, you don't know what it is put in the sauces, even though it may taste delicious. But I do find there's certain areas of Australia that you get better food than others.
So, my love, what do you think? If somebody has been flirting with vegetarianism, or one of the big areas that you are going to be working in is supporting parents with kids who want to try vegetarianism.
Yes.
So, what do you think would be one of the first steps that a family could take to explore whether vegetarianism is something that will support them and help them with vitality and with their well-being? What are some of the things that you would suggest they do?
I would suggest, first and foremost, if a teenager does want to be vegetarian, I really would advise the parents to actually support them as opposed to fighting them and telling them they have to eat meat. That would be the first step.
Yeah, for sure.
And from then, I guess as a family it would be quite nice to sit down, or, whoever cooks, the mother with the child, and sort of say, well, as a compromise, vegetarianism may not actually work for you. So as a compromise, how about we look at a couple of vegetarian meals a week to start with? And to start slowly introducing some meatless meals. And if other members of the family really can't cope with that, then okay, just stick a little bit of something on the side for them. But the person who wants to, or the child who wants to become vegetarian, it's also very important to monitor their bloods. And it's very important to make sure that they are prepared to eat a very wide variety of fruits, of vegetables, or vegetables mainly, fruits, try the nuts and seeds, try the nuts and grains, and especially bring in some pulses, black beans or something like that into the meals.
So what do you think would be a nice, easy first meal to try for a mum who's never done it? And I think most people, when they think of vegetarianism or even veganism, they just think, oh, gosh, all I've got to do is steam broccoli, beans, pumpkin, and a bit of potato. Where you go, throw a bit of bread on there, and there's your grains and your...
Okay. One of my favourites at the moment is actually getting a bed of beautiful greens, mix it up with spinach, rocket, whatever greens you like, and roast every colourful, get some purple carrots, some orange carrots, some sweet potato, some pumpkin, throw a bit of onion in there, throw a few cloves of garlic, roast that in, some olive oil and spices or herbs. And then make a nice avocado dressing out of some avocado and lemon and water. And then you can serve your roast vegetables. And in that, if you like, maybe try some tempeh.
Right.
And you can roast that with the vegetables as well. Personally,
you'd suggest tempeh over tofu?
Only because I can't go near to tofu. It will give me pains in the stomach. Anything soy, even the fermented tofu and tempeh will actually make me bloat. So I found a lovely fava bean tempeh that Byron Bay Company makes. So I've actually been having that, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, it's interesting, the difference between the tofu that we get here in Australia and it's not good. It's not good. It's not a healthy addition to a diet because it's so coloured and bleached and so bastardised. So we're much better off to go with the tempeh as an option because it is a fermented soybean option.
Yeah.
And it's the whole bean, but we do have to be careful here in Australia of GMO soybean.
Yeah, and maybe that's why I'm affected. But if you haven't got soybeans, you can or a tempeh, you can always throw a few black beans in there.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of the key, isn't it? It's to be able to make sure that you're giving the kids a rainbow of colours, and those beautiful, like you said, what did you say? There was nuts and seeds.
What for the
protein sources?
For the protein, yeah, and you can always. Hemp seeds are another favourite of mine, and sometimes I do a little mix of. I might just roast some cashews, some hemp seeds, a bit of sesame seed, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, mixed together with a little bit of salt, and just toast it up and sprinkle that over meals as well.
Oh, stunning! Actually. You did something like that over
I did that
salad
yesterday. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it can go over salads. It can go over roast veg. It can go over your steamed veg.
So for people who are considering it, a lot of the stigma around it is also that it takes way too much time. So is the way that you're explaining it here is that it's actually faster?
In some respect, if you did, one of my go-to meals is like I've got a jar of ready-made homemade pesto in the fridge, and if I'm sort of thinking, what can I have? I might get some of that black bean noodles, cook that up, chop up a whole heap of tomato and avocado, dollop a whole heap of pesto in it, mix it round, and then serve it with some toasted pine nuts. And for me, that's my go-to meal, and it takes about 8 minutes.
That sounds mouth-watering.
And it's really, really tasty.
So when we're putting our meals together, it can actually be quite easy. You talk a lot about food preparation and making sure that you kind of you do it easy for yourself. And I love what you say, fuel your body and feed your soul. And I think that is just it's such a beautiful, again, philosophy around food that if our parents and everybody can start to take more of a holistic view rather than a fearful view around food, I think that kind of philosophy has the potential to allow us to kind of, I guess, do some more research.
Yes.
Because also, too, I think it doesn't matter what your belief is, you can always find research to substantiate it.
Definitely.
So I think with the way that you're sharing this concept is really about, do your research by all means and then try it on for yourself. Make sure that you actually know that it's right for you rather than just believing it's right for you.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it's like you've taken it to a whole new level. And I'm excited about that because I can see so many people breathe a sigh of relief with your approach to the experimentation and then the experience of it. So experiment with this and then experience what you experience and see if it's for you and then keep trying it. And that slowly catch a monkey methodology of, 3 meals in the week. See how you feel about that.
Yeah.
Rather than going cold turkey on the meat altogether and wondering why things don't work.
Yeah, and it really is a case of knowing your body and or getting in. For some people, it's actually really getting in contact with your body again, because I think with so many processed foods and some of the garbage that's in them, we don't actually, the way they label now, they're hiding a lot of stuff that they're putting in these foods, and so we really can't be 100% sure what we're actually eating. It may look fine, natural flavours, natural colourings, it may all look fine, but when you sort of research a little bit further into it, it's really not fine.
So, Linda, with those gorgeous birds in the background, absolutely singing to their heart's content, maybe they're all out there saying, yay, on behalf of all chickens and the bird life out there, it's time we spoke up for vegetarians. And the fact that we always have Cyndi on the show and there's a lot of paleo talk and there's a lot of people out there talking broths and the importance of gut health and, and as far as I'm concerned...
And I agree totally.
Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, I think what you're alluding to is that it's horses for courses and both of you are saying work it out. What would be, and I'm asking both of you this question, what would be the biggest thing you would love to say to real strong advocates of meat eating and all the people out there about you being a vegetarian? And we alluded to it at the very beginning about some of the things. What are some of the comments that you guys get and what are some of the things you'd love to say back to these people? Just here's your chance.
Oh, there's a can of worms there, Kimmy.
I've actually got to a stage now, and this is, from all the work I've done with you girls, I am really comfortable in my own body, and I actually do not care what anyone says because I am totally at peace with myself. I'm comfortable in my own body. I think my diet speaks for itself. My diet and my lifestyle speaks for itself because I'm fit and I'm healthy, and I'm aging well, and I've got plenty of energy to play with my grandchildren. So yeah, all of that has actually got. When I was younger, I used to get so angry about it. Where now it's like I just don't bother. It doesn't worry me at all.
Yeah, I think I'm not dissimilar to you actually, Linda. I think I never really had a lot of people give me a hard time over it. Not that I can remember anyway. I'm always the difficult one when we go out. I'm always the one who needs to say, has it got this in it? Has it got that in it? Can you put this on the side? Can you make sure that it's not touching that? Give me mine on a separate plate or whatever. But I think I can hear you laughing, Kenny.
I love it.
Can hear you.
I'm with you.
But I think if there was anything that I could say, but this is just generically, really, I would just like to say to everybody, lighten up, take the pressure off, and to really be willing to experiment and explore for yourself, but then also to take away the need to be in judgment of other people, because really all you're doing is you're wasting your own energy, because other people are always going to do what's best for them and what they believe is best for them. So can we make room for everybody to do what's best for them? And then the world would be a happier place rather than us always having to be in judgment of each other and what's right and wrong and what should and shouldn't be. I think we're wasting a lot of energy on that. And I'm not just, saying that that's about food. I think that's across the board.
Beautiful.
I agree, and I love the way you say that. The only thing I'd love to bring a little bit of a point back to is if you've got a teenager that wants to go vegetarian, the only thing I would say around that, and I love Nora Gagardis' approach to this, which is, find out the reasons why. For a lot of teenage girls in particular, it's more around making a statement, and often it can be around the ethics of animals and things like that. And I would say, as a mum listening to this podcast, if you've got a daughter that's eating vegetarian and she's not looking that well, it could be that she's not mixing her proteins right. It could be that vegetarianism is okay for her. But I think the both of you are going to have to do a lot of research around what's going to work right, because according to Nora and people like Dr. Natasha Campbell-McBride and all of the advocates out there around teenage health, it's more around what is the right foods to eat for the body, particularly as it's going through huge hormonal bursts and huge growth and definitely brain development. So my only point I'd bring back to that, rather than just let them go vegetarian, I think with your knowledge, if they were going to go vegetarian the way you two eat, then I would say, wow, that's a really powerful way. But for a lot of mums, they don't even know what vegetarian and quality protein and meal working actually looks like, and then get to the crux of what it is and why the daughter wants to go vegetarian and how you can work that out from a health perspective. Would that be a fair comment?
Definitely.
And I think that's why you're doing what you're doing, isn't it, Linda? I mean, that's why you're coming up with this business concept, to be able to support those families, so that if they're going to do it, they're going to do it informed, they're going to do it well, and they're going to do it from the perspective of, empowerment and responsibility.
Definitely, yeah.
So tell us what your business is. Tell me what you're aiming for, Linda, because I haven't heard all of this.
Oh, gosh, Carren.
Well, it's a work in progress, Cindy, and we're working on this together. So it's actually so exciting. So I can tell them if you want me to, Linda, or you can tell them. It's up to you.
Yeah, we're sort of working on a program where people can look at transitioning into vegetarianism, to try certain aspects of vegetarianism on, and see if it works for them. But it's not cutting out meat completely. By the end of the program, yes, you can maybe try a whole week without meat, and if that works well, and you've monitored your body and everything's working well, try another week. But it's it's like Carren said, it's still work in progress, but it really is looking at your actual health, what really works for you.
See, I would say, knowing you, Linda, that it's not even so much about transitioning into vegetarianism, because maybe people already have decided, or if it is a transition, it's how do I feel, like you say. But I think it's about honouring vegetarianism, and I think it's about really honouring the fact that you can be an incredibly healthy teenager, a pregnant woman, a menopausal woman. You can actually be a very healthy vegetarian. And what I would love to see is, from your business, and I'm just throwing out my 5 cents worth here, because this is what I'd love to see from you girls, is
I'm taking notes, don't worry.
Is having a book or a program, an ideal, a whole thing around what it means to be vegetarian. Not so much the meat bashing or the fact that it's not, that meat's not for you, but if you choose this lifestyle, here is the most healthful way that you can live it through all periods of your life. And here are some wonderful ways that we can mix our proteins. Here's some wonderful things if you take it another step further into veganism, where you don't even have any animal products. What are the alternatives? What's the way that I can keep my gut as healthy as possible? What are the most best strains of pre and probiotics that I can support myself with? What if I struggle with grains? How do I alternate that? Why are things like miso and fermented foods so good for my body? And give me an explanation around, because whether or not I think you're vegetarian, paleo, white meat eater, whatever it is, what are the ethics behind eating like this? What's the best way to honour the plant kingdom and the beautiful growers of our plants? Give me some beautiful prayers and ways I can set intentions around my meals. Tell me how I can drink beautiful smoothies to give me every piece of nutrition I need when I'm in a rush. What are my go-to meals? What are the best ways that I can support my daughter who's choosing a vegetarian lifestyle? And what's the intention and the ethics in behind that? I just think there's such a melody and such magicalness, I don't know if that's a word, around vegetarianism, and a gentleness. I love the way vegetarians, the beautiful ones like yourselves that I get to hang out with, there seems to be a real gentleness around the approach to eating, and how do I be gentle with me and my thoughts and my approach to cooking, and how do I be a great grandmother around teaching my grandchildren that eating this way is a beautiful honouring of ourselves and the planet. And personally, from my point of view, I don't know if I'm on the right track for you both, but if I can see
exactly
grasp the intention behind a holistic approach to vegetarianism, then let us, or those people out there that want to go vegetarian, do it with a real healthy approach, which I think is the intention behind a lot of paleo people, and the intention behind a lot of pescatarians, and the intention behind holistic living as a whole. So if I can give you my 5 cents, the process that we had, the joy that we had eating with both of you girls in Peru, and watching how you chose your foods when traveling, how you traveled with different foods to ensure that you were nutritionally sound whilst on the road, but also whilst we were hiking, and being in countries that, in my opinion, it's going back to those more ancient civilizations that have honoured vegetarianism more than anybody on the planet, if you both agree with me, and giving that real holistic substance to honouring the land from which we get to eat. And even if you do eat cows and lambs and all of those beautiful animals out there, then it all starts with plants. Ultimately, without plants, we would not be here. And the animals that people eat need plants. So maybe it's about getting back to how we honour that in the ecosystem, and your intention behind it, and the grace and the gratitude. I would love to see some work around that, because I don't think vegetarians are getting enough of a platform out there with a holistic, beautiful, healthy approach.
Well, Kimmy, let me just say this about that. Just about everything that you've said,
said it beautifully.
I know, and we have it recorded. Just about everything that you have outlined there, Linda has built into her first program, which is an 8-part step-by-step program that takes people through that beautiful self-awareness, that harmonistic view of how everything is universally connected. Linda's also going to go into how to make the person the priority, how to really dive deep inside and find how this way of being, because you're so spot on. Vegetarianism is a way of eating, but it's also a philosophical choice, which I think is so, it's so profound, and it's got such a, It's more than just vegetables on a plate. It's more than that. It's a holistic choice that a person's making for themselves. Linda's also built in a whole strategy of how a person can figure out where they currently are in their current status of health. So she's got a checklist of where people need to go, the tests they need to do, so they know what they're currently lacking in and what needs to be supplemented. We do have a bit of noise in the background, everybody, but just bear with me here. We're almost at the end of our session, and then she's going into meal plans, which I'm so excited about, because the meal plans are it's amazing. You wait. So then the meal plans are all about how to prepare the food, how to cook the food, how to introduce 3 or 4 meals. Do you mind if I just keep going here, Linda?
No, go for it. You're obviously more used to speaking than I am.
I feel like I'm on a roll here. I'm so excited about it. And then, so she's got 3 weeks or 3 sessions worth of the meal plans. And then, Kimmy, stop it, the innate intelligence of the food and how it interacts inside of the body, and how the body actually detects the different nutrients from the foods, and how we start to use food for fuel as well as for fabulousness. So it's for enjoyment, it's for experience, it's for color, it's looking at all the different aspects of what food does provide for us. And then she's already created her program number 2, which is the more advanced stuff, like how to read the labels, how to feed your children, how to go through all the different phases of life, as you mentioned before, gut health, fermentation, how to swap foods out. Like you mentioned, Kimmy, if somebody's struggling with grains, how to ditch the grains and replace it with something else. And then converting those.
This is a game changer, seriously, and for all mums out there, this is going to really help mums support teenage girls through making these choices. It's going to help, I think, even paleo and meat eaters appreciate that you can do this program for your 8 weeks and enjoy. You know, you can still survive. You will survive without meat and things. So I'm really excited.
And she's even talking about poo.
Even better.
I nearly died. Poo, fasting, enemas, the lot. So there it is.
Well, so it's about time, Linda, and I'm very grateful that you've got someone like Carren to support you through this, because she, of all people, is also on the receiving end of knowing what people are wanting and looking for out there. And I think, can I ask you both when this program is going to be available and when we're going to have website and information? Because I know this is new for you both, but why we wanted to get Linda on the program is perhaps we can get her back when it's ready, because I know there's a lot of our listeners out there wanting to do something like this, and one of the reasons we wanted Linda on the show is to show you don't have to be perfect and organised and well planned and have it all here and now. We want you guys to experience Linda's journey and how she's getting there. This has been fermenting, for want of a better word, for quite some time. And I think it's not far away. Am I right in assessing that?
Linda?
Oh, my God. Talk about putting the pressure on. I've started doing a bit of writing, but there is a lot of work to be done, because I want it to be from the heart, and I want it to be something that will be really useful for people. Yeah. And I mean, even the meal planning, sort of actually getting three weeks of meal plans is that's quite a job. Just
to our listeners, can I absolutely put this out there? That with the development of this program, you've heard the outline with Carren and Linda, that if you vegetarians listening to this, or people wanting to understand more about vegetarianism, perhaps you could in our when Carren closes and our pages to go to, maybe there's an opportunity for people to place their questions, thoughts, feelings and ideas around what they would also love to see in the program, just in case you guys have missed something. It would be awesome. So, Carren, is there something, maybe they can email you even in the meantime, or find out a way, because I reckon this is a huge revolution here, guys, and not many people are doing it on a really basic, simple, but beautiful, holistic way. So I'd love to see this come about really sooner than later.
Well, I think now that we're at the end, no pressure, Linda, breathing in.
Yeah, I'm just about to go on holiday for 3 weeks.
Perfect place to start writing.
But look, I think that's a perfect opportunity for us to bring the show to a close, because, actually, I think what we will do is get everybody to send us messages through our Up for a Chat Facebook page. So I'll give you guys all of that information in just a sec. Let's say goodbye to Linda. Linda, thank you so much for being a part of today's show. You are an absolute gem. We love you to pieces and can't wait to have you back on when I can finish this show with your website.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
You are beautiful, Linda, and you really do give women of all ages. I hope we can put a picture up, and I'm assuming you're coming to New Zealand with us next year when we're hiking, and if anybody wants to spend some real quality time with Linda, then that's a wonderful place to really develop friendships and knowledge and share our information. So thank you to Linda on my behalf for being a beautiful, amazing soul that we all adore hugely.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you.
So everybody, we hope you've loved today's podcast and you've fallen in love with Linda. So if you want to add your questions, if you want to add your comments and suggestions, just go to our Up for a Chat Facebook page at allthews.facebook.com/Up for a Chat. Feel free to post your comments underneath the thread, or you can even send us through a private message. You're more than welcome to do that. Or if you want to reach out to me personally, go for it. info@karensmith.com. And I'll make sure that I send all of your questions and comments directly through to Linda. So thank you for being a part of this, and thank you for helping us to get this concept and this business off the ground, and your contribution is going to be invaluable. And we are actually really excited because Linda and I are even flirting with doing a retreat. So that was really, really cool to have you guys join us. So also you can post your comments and your questions at allthews.thewellnesscouch.com/up for a chat. So join us here next week on Up for a Chat and become part of the ripple effect that's changing the world. And we are so going to see you on the ride. Bye for now, everybody.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/TheWellnessCouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives. Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.